supposed to do? Scrutinize every little thing we say and do all day?
Everybody, thank you for tuning in to This Week in Mormons. We are a wonderful pro-Mormon podcast here to talk about the issues of the day facing Mormonism. We are grateful.
In case the comments that go off the rails on our Facebook page have you scared, we are for Jesus.
Yeah, that's why I'm leading this off intentionally in that way. Folks, if you join us on our Facebook page, I don't know what else to do. We strive for balance on there, and I feel like when we post questionable things, we usually issue them with disclaimers, basically saying
what questionable things are you posting, Jeff?
Nothing real. Well, you saw, the whole thing that went down with the, like the quick little Ezra Taft Benson article I posted earlier last week.
I actually didn't. I just saw. I had a friend reach out to me and say, "I'm unsubscribing from your feed, from your Facebook page, because you guys are against the church." And I was like, "I'm not. That must be Jeff."
Now, were those the exact words?
Yeah, something similar to that.
Anyway,
and I literally responded. I was just like, "No, that's probably Jeff. That's probably Jeff that's against the church, not me."
That's me because I'm leading everyone astray.
Guys, again, for the 1,000th time, we are. The idea is that we can take some of the stuff that you're going to hear about anyway, that's going to be out there, and we try and digest it in a positive, meaningful way that allows you to not have to listen to it from shady sources or get it from your buddy at the water cooler. And we're just going to talk about it in a friendly, positive environment is the idea.
Yeah, and that's really very important to us, actually, if you're newer to TWIM. Well, we don't mind getting our hands dirty, I guess, a little bit to work through stuff. But you'll notice if there is even more, we don't talk about like crazy, hardcore, questionable stuff. We don't spend all our time on ex-Mormon Reddit feeds or anything like that. If we do ever happen to find anything of note that comes across our desk from sources like that, you might even notice on our website, we never even link to them intentionally because we don't want to provide links to any of that stuff. So we have a very clear mission to support and build up the saints. I feel like we just try to do it in a pragmatic, normal way, and we like to goof around.
Well, and a lot of the purpose, man, you got to ask questions, people. You got to ask some questions. And sometimes when you ain't got the answers, you just put those questions on the side and come back to them later.
That's
and don't be
true,
afraid of that. Like we're not trying to
tear down. We're not trying to tear down.
Yeah, we're not going after any of that. But we do I really like that because oftentimes I'll go back and listen to our own show. I'm not sure if that's narcissistic or what, but I like to listen to my own jokes. I think I'm very funny, and so I'll listen to our shows, and I appreciate being able to revisit some of these same topics. That aren't topics typically, you're probably not going to get a lot of this in Sunday school.
No.
And what's sad about it is it's not none of it is bad. None of it is wrong. Ezra Taft Benson, he's got books published, right? Books published and things on the record in general conference that we would hear today and say, I think that's a little fishy. That's a weird one. But at the same time, we can circle back and say, but when the guy became prophet, he was a pretty sound doctrinally. I don't have any.
I think he was always sound doctrinally. Yeah, I mean I
don't have any tribes. Well, I don't have any tribes with his sort of era as a prophet. Legitimately, no. He had some cuckoo, not cuckoo, some weird stuff. Some weird stuff from his civil rights stuff, his as a front for communism.
But I don't want to lean on just that because we've people have been coming after us.
But this is a real thing. This is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Where there's instances where some of that stuff exists, and we're okay with guys having opinions. And then when you're called to a position, being like, all right, well now I'm speaking to the entire church. I'm speaking for God to the entire church. So guess what? We're not going to spend our time talking about communism, which was a favorite topic of his. We're not going to spend our time talking about agriculture and America. we're going to spend our time talking about pride
and the Book of
Mormon and love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's funny, and I get it. Like, I understand, maybe if all we ever joke about is like John Birch Society, Elder Benson stuff. And for me personally, it's more because I honestly look at it kind of like I'm amused. Like, I'll read these accounts of church history, and like I'm sitting there kind of with a grin on my face with how interesting it is to see all this back and forth and almost like politicking that went on during this era internally.
You're seeing guys disagree with each other and like have real discussion.
And it's interesting, and it's not to denigrate even Elder Benson. And of course, the church has always spoken out against communism. It wasn't like Elder Benson had the market cornered on that one. That we've always spoken out against communism. Well, up until the end of the Cold War, we spoke out against communism. That's nothing new there at all. So I do think it's funny. Like we see this post that I shared. The reason we shared this one, for example, this came from a website.
What is this one? I haven't.
Okay, this one is just from a website called LDS Church History. I can't verify who the author is, but I've looked at the content, and best as I can tell, it's just matter-of-fact analysis of church history. I think there are some who might read that and assume it means it's anti. I really look at it and think it's just an honest, objective assessment of just history, trying to maybe take out all the religious feelings associated with it and spiritual stuff, just trying to portray a history. So the author published sort of a brief rundown of, Ezra Taft Benson's life, because that's who we're learning from this year. And I posted it so people could read through it and just get to know Ezra Taft Benson. Obviously, it's not talking about stuff from the manuals and what's going on in the manuals. It's more just to understand the history of a man, to perhaps to perhaps inform your view a bit more. It's like anything else. Like we love President Monson, and we learn about his things in his life growing up, and somehow that helps us understand him a bit better and understand his spiritual point of view and the things he's expressed to us. And so that's
I don't know the President Monson. He kind of had a little bit of a career, but man, that guy was right into the fray in like 32.
Yeah. Well, no, I know. But by the way,
he's interesting to talk about because like his stories from like growing up are like, well, that one time I was a clerk at Blockbuster, and you're like,
it's true,
dude. He joined the full-time service.
It's true. You don't hear much from President Monson about his career in printing, for example. I mean, he was involved in publishing, and they'll talk about it here and there, but it's not something he leans on. And that's him as the man. Elder Benson was more political and more engaged, and that was what he liked to do as a person, and that's fine. So it was just funny because I posted this whole thing, and I knew there was a paragraph in it that talked about his association with John Birch Society, some of the stuff, how Hubie Brown tried to kind of box him in, and things got a little nuts. I saw that in the post, and when I read that, I said, ooh, if I share this, some people might see that and think that we're trying to share like shady stuff that's tearing down.
You thought that, you son of a gun?
This is what I thought in my mind. So what I posted was, here's a great rundown of his life. Up front, like, by the by, we need to remember that Elder Benson, as I said it, maybe I should have said it differently, but Elder Benson sometimes went bonkers with his anti-communist rhetoric. That's what I said. Sure, maybe I could have
not respectful, Jeff. Not okay.
Yeah, and I'll admit, so maybe I could have phrased that better, and I'm sorry about that. But the reason I posted that was that so nobody clicking on the thing would be like, where did you lead me with this article, blah, blah, blah. And it's like so much other stuff that we post.
That is the most menacing way somebody could have said, where do you lead me?
Where are you leading me? Into my van? By the docks? It's just funny because the reason we post stuff, we usually post disclaimers and qualifiers and stuff like that, specifically. So
but again, as we said in the beginning, this is a pro-Mormon podcast.
Yeah, we post stuff, and we like to post disclaimers so that if you're one who is not into this or that just so that you'll be made aware of what might be there. It's not in some attempt to tear things down or to engage in any sort of nonsense. We're just trying to learn stuff. President Benson was awesome, and I love learning from his manual this year. There's all kinds of great stuff in there. And we're excited to talk about it. We are excited.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm stoked for it. I think his talk on pride, that's one of those just classic.
It's a landmark talk. It's like an Uchtdorf talk on doubting your doubts.
Yeah. And we're going to learn a ton of great stuff from President Benson's manual this year.
All right, you've done a sufficient job of sucking up to the people that hate you for your anti-Benson rhetoric.
Thank you. Well, it's funny because I'm looking at our Facebook feed right now, and I feel like there's a pretty fair balance of genuine, heartfelt, spiritual stuff. What is the Book of Mormon? Then there's jokes like memes that say many lawbreakers are involved in the occult, and I just said, guys, be careful. We shared the Duck Beach documentary. We shared the Elder Benson thing. Was
the Duck Beach documentary? Did that come out?
It's been out for a long time, but I never wanted to pay for it. So someone ported it on to YouTube. It's only in 240p. So I don't know. I think they pirated it, but it's there, and you can finally spend an hour of your life really enjoying.
I knew the guy Brian from Boston in that.
Oh, they're not nice to him. I feel really bad for that guy.
Really? They just trashed him?
Yeah, I mean, he's like a perfectly nice, interesting guy, and he's
like a Latin PhD.
Yeah. The whole Duck Beach documentary is pretty much like Mormon bros and the appropriate rhyming term for their women being Mormon. It's like Utah bros transplanted to North Carolina being not nice to the cool guy. It's very sad.
Oh, that's kind of pathetic. Well, I'm excited to watch that now.
You should. It was wonderful to do while I was working on spreadsheets. Very exciting stuff. So
how was your week, Jeff? How have you been?
I've been just spectacular, let me tell you. My life is a life to be envied.
Well, I believe it. What did you do, man?
Well, let's see. Since we last spoke,
This is New Year's, right? This is our first podcast of the New Year.
No. We recorded last week on New Year's Day.
Oh, I remember when we said Happy New Year and then saying Odd Lang Syne.
Mm-hmm. You forgot. So what have I done? I paid my electrical bill. That was exciting. I'm looking at my calendar to see anything I had noted on there. No, it was not the most. No, I'm going to be honest with you. It was not the most exciting week. I did get to do a PPI with a member of my stake presidency, though, so that was fun.
Oh yeah, remember the stake presidency? Not even your high councilman.
No, member of the stake presidency. Come on, man. What am I, a counselor?
Traditionally, a high councilman will be doing those PPIs with an elders quorum president.
No, see, we do have. Well, I see what you're saying. We do have the high counselor over our ward who does chat with me now and again, but our stake presidency likes to have more direct involvement with the presidents in particular. So I was hanging out with our second counselor, going over some stake goals for the year and just how stuff's going and yada. I really feel like I've become the home teaching pusher, and I don't want to be that guy. It's hard.
You don't be that guy, Jeff. You just say, hey, people, if you I just want to see if you're going to be able to hit it. If you can't, let me help you.
See, you say this, but that doesn't make a difference.
Well, then you just
because I do say this all the time. Well,
no, you got to actually mean it, right? You got to call them and be like, hey, were you able to get out there? If not, let me run out there right now, or let me go with you. Or let me support you.
Well, the key to home teaching is accountability, and I'm convinced the real key to having better quorum functioning in general is good PPIs. I think that makes a big difference. If you take the time as a presidency and you're doing the PPIs, I think a lot of stuff kind of improves on its own. Not everything, but a lot of stuff gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, I want to write an article about this. I believe that the church we have many things facing us within Mormonism, right? A lot of stuff's going on. A lot of angry people in and out of the church. There's a lot of stuff going on. But I think a lot of the issues we face as a body of saints wouldn't be completely solved, but a lot could get better if our home teaching was more effective. As a church, I mean markedly better as a church. A huge improvement.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again. What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that not every ill in the church or any problems we have would be remedied. I'm not saying that by any means. But I think a lot of stuff, tons in the church would get better if we would all actually just do our home teaching and, likewise visiting teaching and do it effectively. Not just lollygagging around checking numbers. If you actually have a dedicated elders quorum that is doing true home teaching, meaning visits, meaning checking up on the spiritual welfare of families and the temporal welfare of families, and really reporting back to the bishop and working on all these things, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of being one, like the Lord said, if you are not one, you are not mine. If we...
I remember him saying something like that.
Yeah, big improvements. That's all. I've been thinking about writing a whole article on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll fix it.
Just to see if progressive Mormons get mad at me and tell me I'm an idiot.
Jeff, the feminists would hate you.
Yeah, that's my goal. Anyway, I'm fine. How are you, though?
I'm good. I got called.
What's new, Al? Yes,
I got a calling.
Al got
I got called
calling.
in to see my stake president this last 2 weeks ago.
Can I preface this with you were supposed to be like living in D.C. right now, by the way. That was
I was on my way to D.C.
That was our plan.
Stake president finds out I'm home for 3 weeks, calls me in and says, "Hey, and I go down because I've been making fun of their efforts at a mid-singles program here in the Missouri stake." And I was fairly sure I was in trouble because they'd invited me to go, and I said no. And so I go down there, and he called me to be a high counselor, which means that I have to be ordained a high priest, and now I sit on the high council, and I will go and train bishops how to be, or not train them, but just support them and
I will tell them what to do.
High priest group leaders and elders quorum presidents. I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I have no clue. I've sat in 3 or 4 meetings already, and I sit there, and for the first time in my life, I'm like, my instinct is to be a loudmouth, sarcastic schmuck, and I'm gonna bite my tongue because these guys seem to know more than I do.
Remember how you have a New Year's goal to be less offensive. So this is going to play into that beautifully. It's going to be great.
Yeah. No, and so I'm like, I'm in there. We had our first. I got sustained on Sunday, and this is like a real thing. And so I mean, it was kind of random. And I hope none of you have a testimony being shaken right now because I have a calling. But
no, it was when I, the apostate, became elders quorum president. So whoever's left over might.
But dude, I was like, wait, you know that I have a beard and I'm single. I have not succeeded in finding a woman. And when I'm traveling and I don't have pants, I wear shorts to go to the temple. I'm that guy. This is who you're getting. And he's like, we can work around that. And I'm like, I'm on my way to DC. I'm not living here. And he's like, be here first and third Sundays. Keep your records here and we're fine. And I was like, this seems like a trap. You are making me live here. He said, the Lord will help you.
Is this a pyramid scheme at the end of the day? Am I supposed to tell two friends?
Need 4 people in my downline to make this work. So that's been interesting. And for the first time in maybe my entire life, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I've never once looked at a high counselor and said, I should understand what he does. And our stake president is surprisingly resourceful in using his high counselors. And so I've got duties. I got things to do. I had a meeting tonight on a Wednesday. Who thought of that? Going to church and churchy stuff, not on a Sunday.
Do you have to go to Sunday morning meetings at 6:30?
No, well, for the wards the ward that I'm over, but then the first and third Sundays, I've got 5 hours of meetings. I'm on committees. Dude, it's this whole new world for a guy that's been floating and not serving in any major callings for the last 2 years. This is a big change. This is a big one.
I'm excited for you personally. And professionally, but I'm excited for you personally and ecumenically, for that matter.
Thank you.
No, it'll be good. It's going to be good for you, Al. You're a very, very capable guy, and as your friend, it's been you do lots of great stuff, but it's been sad for me to see that you haven't been able to be as involved in a ward or in a stake just because of the way your work schedule and life has had to be. So I think this will be.
Well, it feels, you know what it feels like? It feels like the Lord knows me because they're like, all right, your home ward is this other ward, and then you're traveling to all these other wards, and so this whole idea you have of not attending any one single ward, good, we're gonna.
They're like, we like it, we're gonna play into that.
we're gonna play to your strengths. And I was like, okay.
Have you read the first presidency message this month?
No.
Oh, it's right up your alley. I totally thought of you when I read it.
Okay. All right.
It's President Monson telling the story of how his actual plan was to be sort of a career Navy guy. And he, because he was in the war, but he was just enlisted.
Wait, does he tell a story about how the current Bush said something? Because that's Hugh B. Brown.
No. It's not the Bush. It's not, thank you for loving me enough to trim me, or paraphrasing. No. But he says he was in the war, and then he came back and said, if I ever go to war again, I want to be an officer so I don't have to be like a scrub peeling potatoes and all that kind of stuff. And so he started doing basically ROTC. He had training things every Monday night. This was before family home evening existed, I believe, people, just so we keep that clear. He was doing that every Monday night, doing his thing. He finally got a letter that said, you've been given a commission as an officer and this and that. And he was all excited. He said, all right, this is what I've been working
for a loan.
Francis was really pumped for him, and he said, yeah. Then his stake president calls him in and says, Brother Monson, we need you to be in the bishopric. And he's like, guy, but I got like this letter here from the Navy. I'm supposed to go do this. Oh, by the way, his stake president was Harold B. Lee. Things like that don't happen anymore. But anyways, point is, I thought of you because basically the same thing, and where he dealt with sort of a difficult experience of turning down this entire opportunity with the Navy and changing his entire career plans because he knew that the Lord needed him to do something else. And then he said, hey, this is great because I would not have had the life I've had serving in the church had I said something like, oh, I can serve in the church while I'm in the Navy. What? Don't. We're not going to do this. I'm going to still do my professional thing, and then I'll have those opportunities anyway. It'll be okay.
It's sort of like, yeah. I mean, I was going out to D.C. to sort of reset, get into a new ward, and have the opportunity to serve and be a part of a ward family. And so when he issued this, it was pretty kind of it was a very clear, like, the Lord knows you, Al. Your needs are known, sort of thing, which is great because as a single fella in the church, you don't get those confirmations super often, and so that was very pleasant for me. Well, that was my exciting news.
Well, I hope you'll still come here someday. I was looking forward to us being able to pal around, record Twin live in my apartment. We would just saddle up and just plug the mics in and record it live.
Taking Twim to the streets again, just like a couple
of
weeks ago.
The streets of DC. Say, what's up, friends? And be like, hey, who are the Mormons? And they'd all be like, aren't they just like FBI agents?
Be like, yes, but they aren't good field operatives.
Say, aren't they lobbyists? Say, yeah, that's what we do.
That's typically okay. That's fair.
We were born to lobby. You go on a mission, boom.
So yeah, then I'm out to LA tomorrow. It's an exciting time. Anyway,
well, I'm excited for you, my friend. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. I'm excited that now I have 8 a.m. church, which means I get to go to 6:30 a.m. ward council. 3 out of 4 Sundays a month, and on 5th Sundays I'll have PEC. So pretty much I'm hosed every week.
Even better, I wake up on Sunday, and my ward traditionally met at 12:30. But of course, as a single guy, I'm on nobody's call list. Nobody tells me what time we're meeting or that it's changed. And the LDS Tools app shows me a meeting time from like 4 years ago, 11:30. No one meets at that time. And so I show up for my ward at 12:30. I'm 4 hours late, or 3.5 hours late. And so like I missed being sustained in my ward where the high priest. Missed it. I was like, all right, guys, you got me right after the new year. Give me some slack here. I'm sorry.
Al Doan, everyone, successful entrepreneur, master of schedules and meetings.
No one notifies the single guy. Call, somebody text. I looked at my bishop's Facebook, and then apparently there's some like secret group that everybody's a member of on Facebook that they post in. And I'm like, you can't have that group and not put the people in it. I'm in there. This is my ward.
So basically, you've been intentionally trying to float around between wards, and now you're complaining that you're not in the know.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's accurate.
I just want to be clear. Just want to be clear.
So anyway, I'll keep you guys informed as I figure out what a high counselor does.
I think you should.
I'm very excited.
This is a beautiful time to start a blog series. You should write a weekly post about what you're learning.
Now we have to preface everything with nothing we say or do on this show is representative of the church at all, or of Jeff's Elders Quorumness or my high counselship.
Yeah, and by no means, this is a private thing.
People,
we're just trying to be good Mormons.
We don't speak for nobody.
And we want you to all be good Mormons too. That's the whole point of this. Come be a good Mormon.
You're so bothered that people hate you.
What defines? Well, yeah, I'm like so righteous. I mean, come on.
All right, I feel like so. First, we need to make fun of a modest fashion magazine. Can we jump into some Mormon news here?
Yes. Why are our pictures all over our list now? I'm confused.
I put them on there for you.
Is that to tell us who's doing which? Because you already broke that because you put my
No.
picture on this one. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just adding things.
And now that you did it, Trello is sending me updates on my phone while you do it. It's very confusing.
You're welcome, Jeff. You're welcome.
Okay,
So,
well, tell me about
so
this
there's
design.
Emily Punjak.
I'm sorry?
This girl, she says when she was a teenager, she loved poring over 17 magazine, but she didn't love the types of clothing it displayed. So, I mean, obviously, what does somebody do when you love 17 magazine, but not the clothing? All you want are Cosmo sex tips, not the immodest bikini section.
Of course.
Well,
naturally.
you start an LDS-themed teen magazine called Celestial Shine. So she's trying to start this, but I'm guessing you lack the business savvy. Is that why you need to raise money to start this? Is like what drives somebody to fail at a magazine endeavor, Jeff?
Well, everything for one. I mean, it's print media.
So
is mostly dead.
they've been going for a year. They have 3 digital issues that they've released.
Well, she has no ads on her site,
nor functioning HTML.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. If you donate to this, you're doing it wrong. This is like a magazine. If you're into that digital design stuff and pulling all that off, this site should be beautiful. People, it needs some work. I like you, Punjak, but you gotta. I mean, you're not built to do the magazine. Let's not do that. I like you. I think you're nice. But you're not made.
But back to the content of the magazine. The point of this is it seems to me it's pretty much the new era, but catering a little
Jeff,
bit more
does the content matter when you can't get past?
Oh, no. I'm with you on the aesthetics completely. But just so everyone understands what this at least is about, it's basically the new era for like fashion, beauty, media, stuff like that. And it looks okay, but I admit it's troubling that they made their debut a year ago and they've published 3 digital issues. So unless they're going for like a trimester release schedule, if that's what they're into,
now,
I'm not.
To be fair, if they're all a bunch of teenagers trying to pull this together, good for you. Which it looks like it may be. Maybe we're just actual total jerks. Juice pouches, as the children would say. We're just a bunch of chumps. Because these are like 17-year-old girls trying to pull this off. In that case, you know what? Good for you. You can be anything you dream of. Go and do it. Jeff, you've baited me into mocking children.
Oh my goodness! I'm only on page 7, and there's already a girl wearing a choker and a tube top. What is happening?
What? In the Shining magazine?
Oh my goodness, Emily, I'm not happy. Okay, we got some bridal stuff.
No. Now she's a BYU graduate. Studied editing.
More shoulders. Why are they trying?
Cap sleeves are in, Jeff.
I don't understand this. I thought they were trying.
I don't know whether to be angry at this woman or for her.
There's Jessica Freck, who is wearing pants that are too tight.
You are clearly drunk. There is no too tight pants, Jeff. There's only wait, unless you're at BYU Idaho, this magazine is not Celestial Shine. Does not shine at BYU Idaho. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I think we should invest. Let's buy them. I bet if we
just call and make an offer, I'll give you $600 of dollars.
Will you take $75? And you keep paying for hosting. What do you say?
Okay.
I think it'd be good. But you're right. If it's kids just doing a thing, good for them.
No, it's a BYU graduate. Which what is she doing? And why are all of your models and photographers little children people? I'm confused and frustrated and angry all at once.
It's a noble cause. It just needs a little more finessing. We need to massage the magazine. Massage it.
It's only day 7, Jeff. Day 7 of the new year. We'll go easy on them.
Yeah. Anyway. We're trying to be nicer. Isn't that the whole thing? Less offensive. This is the new twin.
Did I really set that as a goal?
Yeah, you said that last week.
Oh my gosh, it's an awful goal.
This is the new year. We're going to start actually every episode with a prayer after this.
Okay, all right.
How awkward would that be to listen to on an audio podcast?
I watched the guy.
I'm not knocking it.
A friend of a friend of a friend that was doing it. He did a YouTube video, and he was like showing. He had some hobby thing he was doing. He's trying to do this big feat, and he started it off with a prayer. And the video camera like caught the whole scene, and it stayed with him for 30 seconds or so, and out of the 2-minute video, and then off they went. I was like, I'm all for petitioning Jesus, but let not your alms.
You're petitioning Heavenly Father, Al. As a high counselor, I want to make sure you understand to whom we are praying, as it is your responsibility to teach correct doctrine. I just want to make sure.
No, there's 2 times in the Book of Mormon where we pray to Jesus, and I was referencing
Oh, I
those.
know, and then you could read the Kirtland Temple dedication and the whole Old Testament, and there's lots of stuff. But when we pray to Heavenly Father in the name
most of the time
of our Lord. Most of the time. So when are the exceptions? When we break convention?
I'm gonna have every talk is just gonna be gray doctrine. It's gonna be hazy, misunderstood.
I dare you to
doctrine.
get up there and be like, so let's talk about the Adam God theory, everybody. Let's
Now stay with me. Who is Seth? That's what we need to figure out today.
I would like to discuss Tubal Cain in today's talk. And was he really that bad of a guy? Was he a guy at all?
All right.
Or build your whole talk around the movie Noah. That would be exciting too. Say, my understanding based on the biblical account is that there were rock monsters that helped build the ark. Interesting.
Did you see that movie?
Yeah, I saw it. It was okay. We talked about
it. It wasn't bad. Everybody was in an outrage. You remember Glenn Beck? He was.
I remember Glenn Beck at the Blaze, our parent company. Yeah, I remember Glenn Beck. It was no, it was fine. I don't know. I don't mind it. Like it took what is actually a very short biblical account. The story of Noah and the flood is not very long in the Bible, and it took some liberties with it. But for me, sure, it was not canon, but I thought it was thought-provoking in the way it presented some of the stuff. And so I looked at it in that perspective and said, okay, well, this is presenting some different ideas and whatever.
Did you not see the Facebook petitions that told us what to think about it and then demanded we not go see it?
As you know, Al, I'm on a mission to correct social media. So of course I ignored that.
Someone's wrong on the internet. That's fair.
What would my superhero name be? Like I have a sixth sense where I can sense internet wrongs.
If I could be a superhero.
Everyone, what you need to do is send us a message somehow. Contact at thisweekinmormons.com or just tweet at us.
You would be Geography Man.
And I would like to know my superhero name for being the man who corrects everything on the internet. I don't know what that should be, but I want to know. Geography Man. That's not too specific or anything. That's fine.
It's about geography.
I love geography. It's so fun.
All right, let's see. There is a little happy one. Did you know?
Come on,
Jeff,
get happy.
LDS Charities is in action in Iraq.
This does not surprise me, but this is good.
Yeah, it's really good. We've talked about this a little bit, how we wish that the church would be more involved in some of these sort of things, and they're sort of doing the same thing they've always done, but a lot of times we don't notice it. So they're not like they're not playing a huge role. They're playing a supporting role and teaming up with another charity.
It's kind of how we like to do it. Yeah, we like to.
Yeah. And they're doing things like donating DVD players and DVDs, which I hope it's all the movie Willow, and that all these Iraqi children are just like, I'm sorry, what?
All these kids are running around Kurdistan just going, Willow!
Get away, Peck! Oh no, I'm really scared.
What you're saying is we have an opportunity to
There's a Peck here with an acorn.
To really, I wonder what DVDs they actually bring, because they donate the DVD players and DVDs. I hope it's all just My Turn on Earth.
Or Frozen. I would just love for these Iraqi children, like, this is their view of what America is like. No, I go back to Willow. Make it Willow.
I'll support you in Willow. I'm down with it.
And just give us. I didn't realize that there were comedic moments in Willow until I rewatched it. Maybe
unintentionally comedic ones.
No, there's they make actual jokes and stuff, and then some of them are just like unintentionally funny, sure. But like when I was a child, I thought it was a horror film. I was like, this man is riding some sort of a dragon creature, and he has 2 swords in him. How
if you want the fantasy movie to sidetrack one, the fantasy movie that threw me for a loop as a kid was Conan the Destroyer. So there was 2 Conan movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? The original was Conan the Barbarian, rated R, violent, sex, all kinds of stuff. Conan the Destroyer, rated PG. And much lamer, basically. So I used to see Conan the Destroyer on television sometimes. I think it was that one because I remember that character with the horn. But there's this whole, there were some sequences in that terrified me. But then worst of all, you might stumble upon the Barbarian and not know the difference because you're too young, and you're like, wait a minute, why am I seeing James Earl Jones get decapitated? I don't think I'm supposed to be viewing this kind of material.
That was one time.
What's going on here? But back to the thing at hand. The church is up in Kurdistan in northern Iraq. A lot of this has to do with Syrian refugees in particular because of the humanitarian crisis, but also with some of the Yazidi minority in Kurdistan who have been driven away because of the ISIS offensive going on there as well. And so the church is partnering with other people. We're basically donating stuff and other people are implementing, which is kind of our MO most of the time, which is fine. I think it's great that we do this. I think the only downside is it's always like we're a couple of steps removed from actually being the boots on the ground, getting stuff done. And it's great that we're doing it. It's wonderful. But I think for everyday Latter-day Saints, it's nice to say, hey, our fast offerings and the investments the church has are going to help these causes. But it's also nice, I think, if at the local level or more broadly, we were able to be more kind of directly involved in stuff just to teach us more about humanitarianism. Either way, though, I'm very grateful for this. I'm glad we're involved.
Let's do more of it. Come on, church.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's see here. The new Congress just came into session. I'm very excited about this. Very excited about this. So Pew, once again, has released a new study of religion in the U.S. Congress, and 92% of members of the new Congress are Christians.
Pew.
I think America is more than 92% Christian, guys. Where are we failing here? 5% of Congress is Jewish, compared to only about 2% of the population. So, and then we've got about 5% of the Republicans in Congress are Mormon, and surprisingly, 1% of the Democrats are Mormon. There are 2 Mormons.
What do you mean surprisingly?
Well, that's actually a better number than I think. Two Mormons in Congress, that's polling 1%. That's impressive, isn't it? I mean, come on, all things considered. That's all. But of course, more on the Republican side of things, but still, we are overrepresented in Congress, which is, compared to the overall U.S. population, we're a little bit higher than our chunk of the U.S. population, so that's great. We're punching above our weight.
Yeah, minorities getting overrepresented.
That's what
they didn't think of this coming.
Never going to happen. And likewise, Mr. Orrin Hatch, folks, you Utahns listening, your beloved Senator Hatch, has been made the president pro tempore of the Senate, which makes him third in line for the presidency. So if Biden and Boehner both somehow get taken out, and Obama, Hatch will be the man.
I saw that this was an episode of The West Wing.
No, that was John Goodman. You're confusing John Goodman with Orrin Hatch, which is very common.
When John Candy came in and was the president. No, I remember exactly. This is what happened.
Okay.
And so this man Hatch, he may actually be there, and then he's going to just wreak havoc on the mess hall at the White House.
So, guys, this is the closest a Mormon has been to the presidency because, Mitt Romney lost, so that doesn't count. So this is the closest a Mormon has been to a presidency. I would imagine before that, the closest a Mormon has been to the presidency was Ezra Taft Benson. That would be my guess.
As Secretary of Agriculture?
As Secretary of Agriculture. He was somewhere in the line of succession. Because after
How
him...
bad would that be? Like, the U.S. gets attacked, and they're like, well, we're left with the Secretary of Agriculture. You lead us to victory.
Which is perfect, because then he could teach us all how to farm, which we're going to need to do in the new Thunderdome era.
He's like, all right, this is all about foraging and farming, people.
We'll start a great truffle industry. It's going to be amazing.
Get the berries. Yeah.
So anyway, folks, Orrin Hatch, doing well.
Let's see. There's another, this is kind of crummy. In Utah, where did we say it was? Duchesne County?
Yeah.
What's in Duchesne? I feel like it's an awful place.
Everything is in Duchesne. It's amazing.
What's there? Where is this?
It's in eastern Utah, Duchesne.
Is that like Roosevelt?
I actually believe it is Roosevelt. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Roosevelt. But I might be a little bit off here. I don't spend much time out there in that part of Utah because, I'm a winner. But, no, I believe the city of Duchesne is actually it. Let's see where Roosevelt... I thought Roosevelt's basically on the border. I think it's like really on the border. But it's in Duchesne as well. So
I'm a really good guesser. And Roosevelt can span 2 counties with only like 100 people.
yeah, it's like Draper, but better.
So anyway, some teens break into a meeting house and they spray paint the anarchist symbol all over the pictures of Jesus,
Church.
the bishop's door, the chapel. Like, as a rule of thumb, children of the world, if I may, a moment, please.
Yes.
When you want to go and vandalize something, do not choose a church because you never know, right? Like, I'm not going to go and vandalize a Methodist or a Baptist or a Catholic church because I feel like God, regardless of affiliation, is going to say, you know what, dudes? Yeah, sure. Like, that was a place where they were worshiping me, and I'm not very happy with how this went down. I mean, just by way of being safe. I mean, hit the Circle K. Go ahead, make it a Circle A, and you got your anarchist thing all down.
Boom.
Stay away from the churches. I mean, just in general, can we just not vandalize churches and leave that for people to just enjoy? Mosques included, leave those alone, people. Do not vandalize them.
No, vandalizing is bad. I was in years ago in California. Our stake actually had some vandalism. It's just weird.
On my mission one time, we showed up to church and some people had like spray painted all over the outside. It was like American effers or something like that. And I'm like, well, okay, all right. Like, you don't know what to do. You're like, we don't have cans of paint here. Boy. Okay.
We got some of that too. We used to get people who would always like tag Bin Laden on stuff. And you were like, okay, well,
like Facebook tag him? They're like, he was here.
Yes, that's what it was. Because that's what was going on back in 2003.
Bin Laden is in this photo.
Though, if I may indulge.
Go ahead.
My last area, we had these kids there was this kid once who broke into our building and tried to set it on fire. And so we always kept an eye out for him. Like
Jorge.
You'd see it. Actually, his name was Jorge. It's funny you say that. So good old Jorge. We'd see him around and keep an eye on him. And then one time, this is great. This is right when we finally got cell phones in my mission too, right near the end. It was very exciting. So I'm out in my area doing my thing. I was the zone leader. I get a call from some other elders, and they're like, Shaw, we're at the church. We have Jorge on the roof of the hospital. And I'm like, what? So there was a hospital behind our church building. I don't know how all this happened. And they caught Jorge vandalizing the church, and the elders chased him over a fence up on top of a building, and we're pinning him down. And I spent an entire evening in a police station filing reports and talking to Jorge's parents and having all kinds of good times. So vandalism.
What did Jorge's parents say? Were they proud of his behavior?
They were not proud of his behavior, as luck would have it. There was lots of smacking on the back of the head, and as is common for Spaniards, plenty of vulgarity. And it was delightful. I'll just always remember that night because it was like something out of it's like one of those moments. I'm doing something totally different.
It was a Jason Bourne movie. They chased him through
rooftops. And then the call came, and I'm like running to the church building. All hell is breaking loose. It was crazy. It was awesome.
But as a missionary, you're not allowed to say that word.
It broke loose, Al. I don't know how else you want me to say it.
Let's see. Did we talk about the? Dude, we got all right. So there's a show on TLC.
Thanks for voting up everything, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm engaged. I'm using all the buttons on Trello that I didn't know about. So there's a show on TLC which we talked about last week.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
My husband is not gay, and is going to follow along with a couple of Mormon families that the husbands are not into women, but they're into their wives. Sort of that weird conundrum of why is this a thing? So there's a lot of outrage. There's a lot of people that are against the idea that gay men should be married to women at all, or that they could be, and they're calling for it to be canceled. It's got like 82,000 signatures to be canceled. A lot of Mormons are against it.
Sure.
They feel like it's going to be bad. It's going to portray us in a poor light. Which it may.
No, it's from TLC. It's all respect, all seriousness.
John and Kate +8, Jeff. And then the Mormon the newsroom, the church's newsroom even released a statement because they got a lot of questions on what was this all about. A lot of journalists reaching out, and they said The church says the decision for a woman and a man to marry is deeply personal. While the church does not promote marriage as a treatment method for same-sex attraction, couples who are trying to be lovingly supportive of each other while being true to their religious convictions deserve our support and respect. So sort of a yeah, we're not for or against, no comment sort of thing. This is interesting though, because like there's a part of me that wonders if this isn't the official, like the best case scenario for a gay man in the church would be to marry a woman that could tolerate, or not tolerate. I'm sorry, that was supportive of his gay nature, and found a way to channel that into still having a family and them loving each other, and all that jazz. And he was just okay with being with somebody that he didn't desire sexually, or like, man, I don't know what I'm saying, but like, I wonder if that's not the best, like what the church sees as the best case scenario. Would you think? Like, in my opinion,
I don't know if the church is obviously not explicitly saying that, but like they do say at the end, couples who are trying to be lovingly supportive of each other while being true to their religious convictions deserve our support and respect. So the church isn't necessarily saying this is what everyone should do, but they're saying if this is what people are doing.
It's not official, but don't you get the feeling?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a tacit endorsement. They're basically saying if this is something you are doing, then that deserves props, because you are openly saying you experience same-sex attraction, but you're trying to progress as a part of an eternal family and do everything that entails. I would love to get thoughts from Josh Weed on this, who's been much more serious and open about it over the past couple of years.
Has he blogged about it?
Yeah, he's blogged about it a ton. Because
this show.
The one thing we've got to remember, folks, TLC, for one thing, it's going to be a lame treatment of it in general. Two, we don't even know how real this is going to be. Do you think reality shows are not scripted or prodded by producers in a dozen ways to get certain reactions and shots? Reality shows are famous they reshoot scenes that are reality that are just happening.
Speaking of which,
so don't think it's just all like true to life documentary. Yes, Al.
Speaking of reality shows, Jeff, we have a Mormon in The Bachelor this season.
Yeah, tell me more about that, Al. Why?
Tandra Steiner, who rides a motorcycle in. I haven't seen the episode, but Jeff did.
She's barely in it.
She's a very nice LDS gal. Out of Sandy did she drink on it? Did you notice?
I was looking to see, but if she was, there was never any footage to dictate one way or the other.
I am under the impression that she is living most of all of that. I have no reason to suspect otherwise. But she and I, we've gone out a few times.
Living most of that meaning living the word of wisdom, or you mean she's living the life of libatious?
No, like the word of like I mean, she goes to church and she.
Okay. I mean, not to be gossip, whatever. That's her own deal. Okay.
Most of the time, I think like she and I had some discussions about. Well,
okay, that's her affair. Don't worry about that.
No, but like as any 30-year-old single Mormon person does, you have like you just there's questions about whether you're in the right place. Like even if you have an absolute testimony that the church is true, you still have questions about like am I supposed to be here?
Sure.
Right? Like
let's be careful not to err on the side of gossip though about someone else's own personal.
I'm not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
But she's a great chick, and I'm like I'm kind of love that she went on The Bachelor. It's really funny to me.
Oh yeah, you love it, Al.
No, dude. Like
I remember how much you loved.
I've never known anybody to go on like that. I personally knew that was on a reality show or something of that nature.
I remember years ago when we had the old original Mormon Bachelorette on. Some of that was derived from old Aubrey, who was on the show. She actually tried out for The Bachelor, but did not make the cut, of course, unlike Tandra and her bike. So
Tandra regulated. She's a beautiful woman, very pretty.
Yeah, is she the prettiest woman you've ever seen? Do you regret not having made the move, just like Jimmy Fallon regrets not picking up on Nicole Kidman's?
That is a funny video. But no, I don't.
Okay.
We weren't a great fit.
Do you think that she's the one for you? That's what I'm saying.
No.
Do you love her?
There are other ones, Jeff. Other ones.
All right, fair
which
enough.
I do enjoy.
I've got some quick housekeeping. This is very minor, but last week...
Do you have a friend on The Bachelor?
No.
Then shut your face.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding. What do you got?
Though I do think one year there was a girl on The Bachelor who I remember I actually saw on LDS Link Up like years ago. And I was kind of like...
doesn't matter.
No, I didn't know her or anything.
I saw you on the internet.
Yeah, I'm like,
before.
I've seen that girl in social media stuff before. Interesting. Real quick, last week we were talking about, I think we were talking about torture report stuff, I think, weren't we? But anyway, basically how the church, whether we need to play ball in countries or not to be in there. I think I used just kind of an offhanded example of Vietnam, because Vietnam's communist and what could the church's presence be there. But while I was saying it, I did question in my mind, like, I don't know if Vietnam is going to be the most potent example here. I like to think Jerame, if I'm saying your name wrong, Jerame, I apologize. Maybe it's
Jermaine.
Maybe it's
Jermaine.
Jerem. Either way, kind enough to write in and give me some of the lowdown on this. Whereas the church actually has a presence in Vietnam. It's part of the Cambodia mission. We have 3 branches in Vietnam. And we have missionaries there working in the area. And on top of that, the church's status in Vietnam actually even changed this past year. We've actually got like official recognition in the country, and they have sort of like upgraded us on the list, meaning members are officially allowed to use the internet to search for church-related things, which they couldn't do before. And
they improved our rating from
from sell to don't buy.
Yeah.
That's what we got. So that's gonna be good.
We did it.
But I actually thought this was very interesting, and so I was wrong about that, which is no shocker to me because I'm often wrong about
He's never
things.
wrong. I've never once caught you. Jermomi, I respect you. You've caught Jeff in his trap.
Likewise, Al, can I speak to you about some of the statistical ups and downs of the church in the past year?
You son of a gun. Yes, you may.
See, it's a perfect segue. So this actually comes from good old Matt Martinick. I remember last week I forgot what his last name was. It's the guy who runs LDS Church Growth website, also partnered with Comora.com. Great websites, a lot of good information there. And this is just basically a rundown of good things that happened last year and not as good things that might have happened last year.
From a growth perspective. Okay.
From a growth perspective. So good things. We actually maintained the size of our missionary force, which we didn't think would happen. We think it'll still level off, but it's still hung in there because of a lot of non-U.S. Mormons that are filling the ranks. So it's still staying
respect that.
very
Yeah,
high.
no. Because we were all kind of expecting it to drop. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it might still at some point. But it's been hanging in there for quite a while now. 2 years at this point. We saw the most rapid growth in the number of stakes for more than 15 years. 64 new stakes last year.
Boom.
Huge growth in West Africa. First stakes in Albania, Micronesia, Cambodia, and Jamaica. I'm amazed that Jamaica took so long, but there we go. We've also reversed stagnant growth in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Brazil's
I'll
doing.
jump in on a couple of these if you want.
You what? Go ahead, do some.
That was my. I wanted to be a part of this.
I'm sorry.
We continued an aggressive outreach campaign in Brazil and racked up significant growth in the Philippines. Way to go, Philippines.
32 more congregations. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely.
And there you go. Official recognition from the Vietnamese government's one of them. So we're now we were sensitive. Now we're classified as non-sensitive.
Don't buy.
We also have missionaries in Burma and Gabon for the first time, which is pretty cool. And proselytizers returned to Sri Lanka, who hadn't been there since 2008. And, of course, General Conference in multiple languages by speakers.
On the downside, Jeff, we saw congregational decline in Colombia, Paraguay, Peru, Venezuela, and Argentina.
Lazy South Americans.
And Uruguay.
Come on, people, step it up.
Where did Elder Holling go to
He was in Chile. Elder Holling went to Chile, and Elder Oaks went to for the Philippines.
Filipino.
Which is unfortunate for Chile, because everyone's heard you hear all those urban legends that 1 in 5 people in Chile are LDS, but of course the activity level is nowhere close to that. And so trying to make that.
Is that true?
I don't know if that is exactly true. No net change in the number of official congregations in over 100 countries.
That's a down one.
No real growth in Mexico, even though there were 8 new missions in Mexico created in 2015.
And we lost congregational numbers in Japan and South Korea.
And Papua New Guinea's capital, Port Moresby, went down. Very minimal.
Wait, why is that notable?
just because
Papua New Guinea's town.
we don't have a huge
What?
presence in Papua New Guinea, so I don't know.
All right.
India, no main progress. Only 2 new missions, even though we've got a lot more missionaries. Only 2.
And we closed the Donetsk, Ukraine mission.
And we had to take all the missionaries out of West Africa because of Ebola.
That's a net increase in missions of 1.
Yeah.
1.5.
Though, as we talked about last week, we're getting 11 new missions for 2015. So that's
We'll see how that goes, Jeff.
So that's okay. So, interesting thoughts. And, folks, if you want to know any of those things, always visit ldschurchgrowth.blogspot.com or Kimura.com, loaded with interesting stats.
Jeff loves Kimura.com.
It's a very useful site.
When I told him I got called to the high, he was on there. He knew my steak better than I did.
Well, it's useful. Like Al told me he was getting called, and I was curious how geographically huge his steak might be. So I went and looked it up, and there was a map of it right there.
He says to me, "Oh, you go all the way to Iowa," and I was like, "I do." And he said, "Yep." And guess where I'll be driving, Jeff? All the way to Iowa.
Boom shakalaka, boom boom.
Let's see. We talked about. I feel like we talked about missionary homecomings are out of control. We talked about that last week.
We might have, but there's a lot more being picked up this week about it for some reason.
Yeah, just a lot of people are. I mean, they're making this is a big deal. I feel like this is becoming the new 8th grade graduation, where the sentiment is like, "All right, yeah, you were supposed to come home. Good job. Now let's go home and get Taco Bell." When I came home, my dad gave me a bottle of chocolate milk to drink, like at the end of the Indy 500, and I chugged it all. And then had the worst diarrhea because I hadn't had like American pasteurized milk in 2 years. It was ferocious. I went to Taco Bell after that. I'm not sure which caused the diarrhea, but it was there, and that's my whole story.
I went to Del Taco, and other than Del Taco, I also remember being confused about how dark it was. Because when you're in Europe in these dense cities, it's just more well lit. And being in dark, sprawling California suburbs on just suburban streets, it was a huge trip for me after 2 years of being in Spain. I was just like,
Come on, get with it.
It was just dark.
Anaheim.
Though I think last week what we talked about was some of the best missionary homecomings that there had been. So now this article's about how it's getting a little bonkers over in Salt Lake.
That's not a thing. We don't talk about the best missionary homecomings. We talk about how bad they are.
They are bad. I swear the church has actually issued letters to local Utah stakes and said, please do not swamp Salt Lake Airport with homecoming parties.
Quit that business.
Because it's like ticker tape parades there when missionaries come home. It's crazy.
It's always fun when I come home through that because I'll come down and then I go and high five everybody that's holding the sign. They don't know what to do.
Do you do that though?
I do.
I wish you still lived there. You could step it up even more, like randomly hug people. Just walk right up to some family like you haven't seen them for 2 years and just start hugging
Find
them.
the girlfriend in the mix and dip her and give her a big smooch.
Yeah, and we'll take a picture of it and make a statue.
Let's see that apparently the church is trying to eradicate polo with the Rotary Club.
Polio or polo, which is a stupid sport. So either one, it's okay.
Yeah, they want it gone. They want it gone.
You will not mount your horse and swing your mallet.
I didn't say polo. I said polio.
You said polo.
Jeff, we can rewind this tape. You are obviously drunk.
Well,
but yeah, they want it
spirit.
gone by 2018. And here on TWIM, we're going to give it the TWIM bump. We talked about it. We said we're fine with polio being eradicated.
Okay. So polio. Sit in fear.
Water polo.
Lastly, I loved this one. I love the feedback you all gave us on Facebook. Another one when we let it off saying we're not slamming anything, but what's been your experience with LDS employment resources? And because they published a thing where the church is stressing social networking to get a job. It's kind of an article that you read and the whole time you're thinking, you're like, no poop, Sherlock.
It says, don't use us.
Use social media. Reach out on Facebook.
Which I agree with. Activate your network. You have people that want you to succeed. They will help you. The LDS, the LDS employment office. So they're making a big push for that in our stake, and I've got to go and like train people on this.
Really? Interesting.
It's a little bit hard because like I don't have a testimony of the LDS employment office.
Well, maybe you'll get one though. I mean, like I hated primary.
I don't think I will. I mean, I've looked at the jobs that they're connecting through, and you go to resume workshop, and these are people that are not trained.
No, they're not. That's the hardest thing is it can vary a lot, I think some areas where you have higher concentrations of members, you're bound to have more skilled HR type people that can staff those places. But in a lot of places, it's just kind of spinning the wheels in many instances, I've found.
Wow.
Maybe you can help it, though. I mean, I thought primary was the dumbest thing on earth until I got a calling to serve in primary, and I grew to love it. So maybe you will love the employment thing.
Don't patronize me, Jeff.
No, I'm honestly just saying that I find that it's very easy to have not even preconceived notions, but like own opinions based on experience about stuff. But we don't always see every aspect of things, and sometimes when we're on the other side of the coin, we see something different. I don't know.
All right, maybe I'll see something different.
Look,
Whatever.
you should follow companies and groups on Twitter and LinkedIn, read social media accounts.
Speaking of which, Jeff,
Yeah.
you guys should follow us on Twitter.
I would
and
like
LinkedIn. You love LinkedIn. And on Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com.
I'm going to start posting stuff on LinkedIn.
Also, that'd be so funny, be an influencer. Also, Instagram. We post on the Instagram. We like that one.
We
That's a
do.
good one.
We do. So the Twitter, the Facebook, Google Plus, though, we post stuff there too. Google Plus has its aficionados.
Also, you can email us, contact at This Week in Mormons. That's a good one. .com. Don't forget the .com. Also, you can come visit our website where we post up articles around these shows and invite you to come and give dialogue. Leave a comment and say, you guys
are apostates, and I hate you all, and you're the
I'm
worst.
unsubscribing. I declare unsubscribe.
I think the name of this show is just going to be called Please Don't Unsubscribe.
Yeah, okay.
Right there in the name of the show. Everyone will see it.
Anyway, for Jeff, I'm Al. I like to say that. I don't actually know what that means. I've never heard that before, except for when Jeff says it.
Are you going to finish? I'll say goodbye. You can sign
That's all I
off.
want to say.
Okay.
I want you to end it, Jeff. I don't want to end this.
All right.
This
Well,
isn't about
for
me.
Al,
I want you to trail out for hours.
I'm Jeff. This is This Week in Mormons. Have a great week, everybody, and don't quit being mean to me. All right. We're leaving. Goodbye.